The next speaker is Sri Sujit Kumar.
Thank you, sir. Sir, at the outset, I would like to convey the message of my
Mr.
honorable...
Sujit Kumar, your party has 8 minutes and there are 2 speakers. So you be brief.
No, sir, the third speaker will extra time. We have requested the
Sir, that is separate.
Minister, sir.
That's separate, sir.
No.
Speak for 8 minutes,
You have your party,
Sir, that we have
8
discussed
minutes are
already.
left for your party. Okay. So you are one, another speaker is there. So please
Sir,
keep,
that is taken care of. Sir, that is taken care of. That is
you
taken
keep
care
that
of.
in mind. I'm just telling you, keep that in mind.
Sir, at the outset, I would like to convey the message of my honorable Chief Minister, who has appreciated the growth focus of the budget, and I quote him, "The focus of the budget on technology and infra-led growth will have a positive impact. Proposed tech-led development in health and education will have the country to a large extent in this pandemic situation. The PLIs in 14 sectors and extension of emergency credit-linked guarantee scheme would be helpful in mitigating supply-side constraints," unquote. Sir, definitely increased capital expenditure by 24.5%, the setting of multimodal logistics park, focus on digitization, leveraging technology to make India a leader in the digital space, reduction of tax for cooperatives are all highly laudable initiatives taken by the Honorable Minister and are praiseworthy. I must also take this opportunity, sir, to salute the entrepreneurial spirit of our youth, and the way they are positioning India in the startup ecosystem needs to be applauded. Sir, I will also commend the Honorable Minister for the steps taken by the government to boost green energy, and also coming out with policies such as battery swapping policies for EV and sovereign green bonds, which will help mobilize resources for green infrastructure. However, my Chief Minister has also flagged several concerns, particularly the reduced allocation for various social sector schemes in the areas of agriculture, rural development, health, women and child development. And I would like to share some of those concerns with the House and hope that the government will take serious note of it, sir. But before that, I would like to also highlight 2-3 other points very quickly. One is my personal concern regarding the abysmal spend on R&D in this country. Sir, you would be shocked to know that we as a nation spend only 0.7% of our GDP on R&D. Compare this with other nations, sir. China 2.2, Israel 4.9, South Korea 4.6, US 3.6 of their GDP on R&D. Sir, we all know during this pandemic how our scientists and doctors have made us proud by coming up with vaccines in such a short duration amongst such constraints as reduced resources. But still, sir, we have hiked the health R&D by only 3.92% in the budget. What is 3.92%? Sir, defense R&D has been hiked by 9.5%, and 25% of this has been earmarked for startups. Definitely, sir, praiseworthy. And this will hopefully incentivize the private sector to enter the defense R&D. But, sir, R&D budget has been reduced for atomic energy, for biotechnology, for science and technology. So, for this government, I perceive that R&D is not a priority.
Not only that.
Sir, now I'll come to defense very quickly. Sir, way back in 2017-18, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Defense had recommended spending 3% of our GDP on defense. We have not reached this number yet. Currently, we are spending only roughly 2% of our GDP on defense. And we have 2 hostile neighbors on both our borders, sir. So, I hope the government is cognizant of this. Defense accounted for 16.8% of India's budget estimate pre-pandemic, which has come down to 13.31% now. Sir, another disappointing miss in this budget is the dedicated non-lapsable fund for modernization of the defense forces as recommended by the 15th FC. There is no indication in this budget of this critical reform. Sir, I am very much aware that enhanced allocation to defense will leave less pie for social sectors. There is always, sir, a tricky balance between the guns and the butter, the missiles and the midday. But, sir, I hope that the government makes this tricky balance properly. And as a party, Biju Janata Dal and our Honorable President, Party President Shri Naveen Patnaik have always stood with successive governments when it comes to matters of national security. Sir, fiscal federalism. With regard to fiscal federalism, I would like to draw the attention of the government, particularly this government, on two issues, sir. One is the reduced divisible pool of taxes for the states and the continuing expansion of centrally sponsored schemes. Sir, you will be shocked, the House will be shocked to know that the indivisible pool of taxes has increased from 7.5% to roughly 20% in 21-22 BE. Sir, these taxes, cess and surcharges are not shared with the state government. Is this cooperative federalism, sir? Sir, the FC had recommended 41% of the tax pool to be shared with the state, but because of these enhanced cess and surcharges by the central government, only 30% is now left with the state. Sir, the continuing expansion of centrally sponsored schemes, even while shifting the fiscal burden on the state, is having a huge negative impact on states like Odisha and other poor states, sir, and also impinging on the fiscal liberty of the states.
Why are you supporting the government then, Sujit?
Sir, I'll come to the inadequate social sector spending now. Sir, there is no mention of price rise or inflation in the budget. There is no mention of unemployment in the budget. The Narega budget has been reduced by 25%. Sir, only yesterday I came from my district of Kaland in Odisha, and I can tell you how the poor laborers and people who were dependent on Narega, because it's a demand-driven scheme, are affected because of this. And also, it's pertinent to note, sir, 700 crore, which is pending for the material component, has not been paid to the state of Odisha by Government of India.
Very bad, very bad.
Sir, I'm reminded of the French laureate, Nobel laureate, André Gide, who said, everything that needs to be said has already been said. Everything that needs to be said has already been said, but since no one was listening, everything must be said again. Sir, the Kothari Commission way back in 1964 had recommended 6%
you have another member.
No, sir. Sir,
you are exhausting all the time of
sir,
the party.
please allow me to speak, sir. We'll
Please
take care of
conclude
that.
now.
Sir,
Please
we'll
conclude.
take care of that. Please allow me to speak, sir. Sir, 6% of...
I can allow,
Sir, 6% of India's
but
GDP
your
should be
other
spent on
member will not
education.
have time.
Sir, we have a new education policy. We are talking lofty things about education, but we are spending only 3% of India's GDP on education, despite all these lofty goals. Sir, another worrying aspect is the union health expenditure is down 0.4% of GDP in 21-22. In this COVID pandemic year, we are reducing the allocation to health. Sir, I could go on, but because of paucity of time, I'll come back to my home state of Odisha, and my Chief Minister has raised time and again issues of negligence in the areas of tele-density, railway network, banking, coal royalty, industrial corridor, drinking water, and the cutting of funds for scheduled areas like the KBK region.
Thank you.
Sir,
you conclude now.
Sir, Odisha has received global acclaim for its disaster management. Yet, sir, the disaster response fund, which should have been, sir, on par with the Himalayan states, has been mandated 90-10 for Odisha. Sir, I'll give you an example. In the last 3 years, we have received 4 cyclones: Titli, Fani, Amphan, and Yas. Yet, sir, Government of India is unwilling to split the sharing pattern of disaster response fund to 90-10.
Your time is over. Your party time is over. Nothing is left. Please conclude now. I'll call the next speaker.
Sir, I'll conclude. Sir, I'll conclude. Give me 1 minute.
Please don't make commentary. Please.
Sir,
you have
1
to
minute,
listen to him. Don't comment. Don't make commentary.
Sir, I'll
That's
conclude
not
in
good.
1 minute, sir.
Yeah, please conclude
Sir,
now.
the railway density in Odisha is only 17 as opposed to the national average of 21. Sir, we are thankful to the Honorable Minister Railways for sanctioning 9,700 crore this year, but I hope that the Minister will not lower this in the revised estimate.
Thank you.
And I
The
will
next
also
speaker
urge
is
him...
Manoj Kumar Jha.
Sir, last, sir, 30 seconds. Sir, 30 seconds.
I have called the next speaker already.
Sir, connectivity is the lifeline of any nation. So I strongly urge the government to take care of the need of Odisha in terms of railway density, highways, banking. Sir, 1/3 of the GPs in Odisha do not have bricks and mortar branches. 70% of the districts in the KBK region
Manoj Kumar Jha.
have branches or even the...
It will not go on record now. Manoj